DHS says more than 280 people were arrested statewide. Do we know how much of that touches Columbus, if at all?
I don't. I know that, obviously there were lots of reports and some information that's out there, but we haven't had that official communication from DHS to the city as of yet.
Okay, so was the city involved in any way, or was that just strictly federal?
And you're speaking about ICE enforcement actions in
exactly.
December? No, because of my executive order and city ordinance based on council codifying that executive order, we don't coordinate and participate in federal immigration enforcement unless a crime has been committed. And so we don't cooperate or partner with ICE unless a crime has been committed. We want our cops, and the people of Columbus expect our cops to be in neighborhoods helping to reduce crime and make our neighborhoods safer, not doing the federal government's job for them.
And as far as ICE, for people watching and feeling uneasy, what do you want them to understand about what Columbus Police will do and won't do in situations like this?
We're really focused on making sure our city is safe. And as you see from all the numbers, we've had a dramatic reduction in homicides and violent crime. Greatest reduction, we've got the lowest levels in almost 20 years. We want to keep that momentum going. Momentum doesn't matter unless you keep it going. So that's happened because the police and the community are working closer together than ever before. We're getting record numbers of tips. We're getting record number of guns off the street. And obviously our city is safer than it has been in decades. We want to continue that work. And so, if there's information about any crimes that have been committed in the community, we want those tips. We want that information coming to police. And we've worked very hard on police-community relations. And our fear is the way ICE has gone about their enforcement with lack of communication, sharing information that may undermine some of the trust that we've been able to build between law enforcement and the community. I think we're also very concerned that ICE agents are not trained the way that local police officers are trained. And obviously we've seen in places around the country, sometimes that can have fatal consequences.
What would you like to say, what's your message to neighbors who are worried about ICE and their operating? How that could hurt the trust or make people, be afraid to maybe call police, be afraid of law enforcement, talk about that.
I think even the Catholic Church, sent out information saying that if you are worried about attending Mass and services, you don't need to come. I think this is the only second time that the bishop has issued that since the pandemic. I mean, this is very serious, and we know that with ICE doing enforcement at synagogues, at churches, at schools, at daycare centers, at other places, that has the entire community on edge. And so, if there's information that people have, they should share that with law enforcement if they feel unsafe or they feel like they're being targeted or intimidated. I know some of our daycare centers have had folks who have tried to force their way into daycare centers. If you have information about fraud, call the state. They have a team of professional investigators, and they do thousands of investigations every year and hold people accountable. But let the professionals do it.
And with the protests, how does the city plan on handling them?
Well, we've made dramatic changes in the way that we work around First Amendment issues and free speech issues over the last 5 years. Part of that by our own leadership and action, changes of policies and law, but also with Judge Marbley's ruling, the federal judge who directed us to make many other changes as well. So our dialogue team is quickly becoming a best practice for departments around the country. And that's a group that really focuses on making sure that folks stay safe while they express their opinions and take action. And so we're protecting First Amendment rights, but also making sure we're protecting property and people while they exercise those rights. So we'll continue to have that guide our work, regardless of the demonstration, regardless of the protest, whether you agree with it or not. We think free speech is really important, but we also think protecting property and individuals is really important too.
And have police received an increase in calls regarding people harassing child care centers, especially people who think they're trying to expose fraud?
Yeah, and again, making children, families, teachers, and parents threatened or intimidated is unacceptable. This is a safe and welcoming city for all. So if you have any concerns about fraud, call the state. Let the professionals handle it. But do not try to force your way into daycare centers. We need to keep those centers safe for kids, for teachers, for parents, and it's not acceptable to try to force your way into or threaten and intimidate people who are trying to protect our kids.
And I'm sorry, has police received an increase in calls
We
on
received
that?
8 calls last week and 2 this week. And so that's what I would encourage people, if they are feeling threatened or there's somebody trying to force their way into a daycare center, make sure you have a safety and security plan. Most of our centers do, but call the police.
DHS says that Operation Buckeye happened between December 16th and 21st. Do you know of any continued federal immigration enforcement happening in the city?
Not that I'm aware of, but they didn't tell us they were coming, back in December. And so, obviously we're going to continue to communicate with the public about, making sure they're protecting themselves, their families, and that the public knows that we are not going to work with ICE to do federal immigration enforcement unless a crime has been committed in Columbus or in Columbus neighborhoods. As you know, we work with county, state, and federal law enforcement organizations all the time to take down criminals that have committed crimes in the United States or in the city of Columbus. So we work with folks all the time, but we will not use city resources to do federal immigration enforcement for ICE.
The Minneapolis mayor has called for ICE to leave the city. The Portland mayor has also called for ICE to stop their operations. Would you take that strong of a tone?
It doesn't really matter. ICE can come. We did not invite them. ICE can come and do federal immigration enforcement anywhere in the country. I'm not going to obstruct that. I'm not going to block that. I encourage the people of Columbus to let, to not interfere and obstruct, federal immigration enforcement, whether it's being done by ICE or, other entities. I think it's perfectly appropriate to make sure that every family has a safety plan, that everybody know their rights, that they contact, Chris or other immigration, legal aid, other organizations here in the community to make sure they have representation. But I do think, I'm concerned because ICE, officers don't go through the same training, any way, shape, or form, that our local law enforcement officers go through. And it's very concerning that we have seen what happened in Minneapolis was not the first time. Someone died at the hands of ICE officers in places around the country, and it may not be the last if they continue on this path.
What we've heard from especially immigrant business owners lately is they're scared right now.
Mm-hmm.
They've said they're scared for their life. I guess, what can the city do to protect them, or what is the city doing?
Well, I think encouraging people to shop local and shop very local. If you know of a new American business that, and this is an issue that matters to you and you want to help protect, the safety and security of your neighbors, shop there. Use your dollars. But I also would say that, advocating, for new Americans and immigrants is very important. So contacting, your local, state, and federal leaders to express your opinion, your belief. But I also would encourage people to financially support Chris and legal aid. If they want to take action and do something to help protect their neighbors, there are things they can do to take action, make sure their voices are heard.
The last 2 nights, we've seen a lot of protesters in downtown Columbus. A lot of people care about this issue. What's your message to them?
We believe passionately in folks' ability to exercise free speech and to demonstrate and use their First Amendment rights. And that's why, the dialogue team is so important, because we deal with protests and First Amendment issues very differently than we did 5 years ago. We have learned a lot. As I mentioned before, the dialogue team really is a national best practice now in helping to make sure that folks who are protesting, that are expressing their opinion, that are doing it safely and constructively, that they stay safe as well. But we're not going to tolerate destruction of property. We're not going to tolerate any harm to individuals, whether they're protesters or officers or whoever. but we do believe passionately in allowing people to, utilize their free speech.
I guess,
One more question.
okay, just speaking about ICE operations, it's a highly emotional and highly controversial issue. There are people who are completely in support of it, and then there are people who are against it. They're outraged right now. Where do you stand?
Well, I think I've been very clear where I stand. This is a safe and welcoming community for all. We believe that the best and the brightest from around this community, this state, this nation, and the world want to come to Columbus because it's America's opportunity city. New Americans and immigrants have helped make this city what it is. They're a critically important part of our business community, of our neighborhoods, of our cultural arts. We are who we are today because of immigrants and new Americans. And we believe that we are the city of tomorrow because we want to continue to attract the best and the brightest here to Columbus.